Now, as part of the Arab Youth Survey's findings this year, the UAE has been rated as the most desirable country for the 11th consecutive year. The survey involved more than 3,000 people aged 18 to 24 in the MENA region. Joining us now in the studio to discuss the result is Sunil John, the founder and president of ASDA'A. Thank you again for joining us and always supporting us.
Thank you, Yunus.
And first of all, tell us about the key finding of this year's Arab Youth Survey.
You know, you just reported that a majority of the Arab youth were concerned that their national economies are going in the wrong direction. But what I found more interesting is that nearly 64% of the Arab youth across these 17 countries said their best days are ahead of them. You know, you're talking of 18 to 24-year-olds. So obviously they have the positivity and the optimism. And we thought that was a very important aspect to record. And of course, there are additional findings. More importantly, Yunus, is that all of 82% of Arab youth preferred to promote stability over democracy. And nearly 64% said that democracy will never work in the Middle East. And that we thought was an important finding, because we call this the Arab Spring generation. They've gone through the upheavals, and today they say they want to be able to get a better job and continue with life, and start a family, build a home, and things like that. Very, very important finding that we thought was important for your audiences to know.
That's good to know. Democracy is not going to work in this region. Okay. This year, the UAE was named the most desirable place to live in. Now, tell us more about that.
You know, this is quite a surprising finding. As you know, Yunus, we introduced this question in the year 2012, asking young people, which country do you want to live in, and which country should your own country emulate? So it's a question about model nations. And this year, we have had a record spike in favorability for the UAE as the #1 country at 57%. And in fact, the next choice was the United States at 24%, less than half. And then came Canada at 20%, France at 15%, and Germany at 15%. So when you look at what this actually is saying, is that young people say that this is an ideal nation for us. This is the model that they want their own country to emulate, which is a great testimony for the leadership and the vision of the United Arab Emirates.
So they look at the UAE as a benchmark, not only for the region, but for globally.
Because, you know, UAE is compared to the best economies in the world, as you can see. And we are way ahead of that. Interestingly, Yunus, we asked them, what do you associate the UAE with? And, you know, these young people say growing economy, safe and secure environment.
Success, maybe.
You know, yes, job opportunities, of course, you know, generous salary packages, and most importantly, effective and visionary leadership. And that is what is a great
Especially
example.
looking forward and having a clear vision.
Exactly.
Now, has Emiratization been factored into the survey, or is it?
Yes, in fact, we asked young people across the region, where do they want to look for jobs? Because the two biggest obstacles that young people have identified is high cost of living and unemployment. As you know, the Middle East region has one of the highest youth unemployments in the world. Roughly, IMF World Bank says about 27%. But in some countries, Yunus, it's as high as 50 to 60%.
That's huge.
So when we ask these people, where do you want to look for jobs? The highest, of course, is the government at nearly 39%. But when we track the results over the last 4 years, there has been a drop of 12%. We asked them about private sector. Do you want private sector? It's about 20%, again a drop of 8%. But what's rising is young people who want to work for themselves. The spirit of entrepreneurialism is at the highest, roughly about 28%.
That's why the SMEs are rising so much in the
Absolutely, and this is across the region, especially in the Gulf countries. So it's a good green shoot finding of young people who want to work for themselves and start new businesses.
Sunil John, it's always a pleasure having you, and thank you again for joining us this year.
Thank you, Yunus.
All the best.
Thank you.